Welcome to the Deprogram Show. Y'all see, we got a very special guest in the building. Y'all know it was going to come back around. We told y'all the first time, and we back again. We want to salute the one, the only Miss Mott for being back in the building with us.
Thank you for having me, Aaron. Glad to be back on the Deprogram Show for real.
We glad to have you back. So we're gonna start this thing off. You know, we lost a musical legend in our city. One of my little brothers hurt me to my heart. Y'all know him as Tom P. I know him as Javon. So we're gonna play this little song in dedication to him before we start the interview. Just paying our respects to my little brother.
Everybody wanna cool, bitch.
This life ain't working for me, so I gotta go back where I came from. Same things going through my head. You want to see me dead, so they take me through the same storm. And now they got so used to the pain. Things ain't gon' change, still gon' stay the same. Even though they think they helping me out, I don't see a way out. I feel like they playing my game, bullshit or not.
Caught up in the system, and you don't understand why your mind's in prison. Steady living in a cage where she set to go free, rather live as a slave. Folks stuck in the project cause they scared of a light bill. They ain't even got the chance to experience life here. This is real, so I shed tears while I give you nothing but the truth. The door is open, all you gotta do is walk through. But somehow it's in you won't comprehend, cause you focus all your time on the folks in the pen. Wonder why they get out and go back. It seems like they in the same place that you at. You ever wonder why they both look the same? So it seems like home when you're traveling, man. This song promotes freedom, so when you free run, I tell the truth cause I see what you can become. Don't be dumb, I pray you understand. And when you open up your mouth, don't keep saying
Bullshit, life ain't working for me, so I gotta go back where I came from. Same things going through my head. They want to see me dead, so they take me through the same storm. And now they got so used to the pain. Life ain't gon' change, still gon' stay the same. Even though they think they helping me out, I don't see a way out. I feel like they playing my game, bullshit or not.
caught up in the system, and you don't understand why your mind's in prison. Steady living in a cage where she set to go free, rather live as a slave. Granny stuck in the synagogue with no revelation. She don't even understand the hell that she is facing. Basing everything on what the preacher said. No relationship here, so my granny's really dead. She don't hear what I done said, cause she chained in her head. Sitting in the
We'll stop it right there. Man, we did that song. Ooh, let's see. I think he was maybe 13, 12 or 13 years old. So y'all can hear my young brother, the younger version of himself. Salute to him in memory of my brother, Javon Paisley, aka Tom P.
Whew. Absolutely. And nothing but love and light to his family and the whole entire Eastdale community and the rest of the city, because we didn't just lose a legend. My goodness, when I look at Tom P, especially even when he was locked in, some of the videos that would leak out of him just being in the cell and everybody around him, he just beating on a wall or beating on something and he's singing and he rapping, man. He was like Finesse 2 times, just wherever he was at, man, he could make music, even just being funny and doing something country was him. Like he was just like a musical instrument in a person. And we taking a heavy loss with that one. Thank you, Roland, for honoring him.
No problem. The last conversation I had with him, I never forget it. I told him, I said, hey, man, I didn't know nothing about Finesse before I met you. But, bro, y'all act just alike. And he told me, he said, Brother Roland, that's what he used to call me. He said, you the 7th person today that told me that. That's crazy. God, that's tough. Whew. So we'll get back to the main thing at hand right now. I ain't gonna lie, I was disturbed when I seen, I don't really do the politic thing, but I was kind of disturbed when I seen the current run of events that happen in your life. And I was like, no, now, now what we doing? So take the people who under the rock.
Yeah.
Tell the people what happened prior. Okay, we'll start right here. The District 8 seat opened up when Anthony Byrd, vacated the seat. I think he moved on to another position or something like that.
That's
and
correct.
the seat came open to where it was a election. And in that election, the first one, after the seat opened up, you won that election. According to the votes, you won. So what went into, okay, take us to that day when you was like, obviously celebrating victory, and then you getting the news, hey, we're going to have to do this again.
Well, before I can address that, Roland, I actually have to take a little bit back to the beginning.
Go ahead.
When Anthony Byrd vacated his seat, we actually had, of course, like you said, an open seat, right? And that meant that we had to have someone take over the district in the meantime, before we even got to an election.
That's good. I'm glad you brought that up because you're finna make a great point. My bad. Go ahead.
No, you're good. So we have never had in any point in history where what is called an interim, someone who takes the space of a council person in the meantime, be able to run in the following election. That has never happened, with the exception of me running for this position. So I want to start with the understanding that our city council, with Black council members who co-conspired with others to undermine what I was getting ready to do, changed the rules so that the interim could run. And there's a newspaper article from the Chattanooga Times Free Press where these same council members are stating in the newspaper that what they are getting ready to do to change the rules to allow my opponent to run would tip the scales in her favor.
So you telling me that originally the rules stated that if you was interim, you couldn't even run.
That's correct.
Wow.
Before this whole process started, if you served in the interim, you had to vacate the seat based on who won the election. So you could not run. So they changed the rules so that, and the main problem with this on the onset is the whole purpose of elections is to have the will of the people, the voice of the people choose who they want to elect. But if you tip the scales in the favor of the opponent, the city council is the one that chooses the interim, meaning that body also gets to choose them running in an election in a district they don't even live in. That's favoritism and tipping the scales. And the NAACP did an entire write-up on this. The Unity Group did a write-up on this. But to have the council persons like Carol Burrs, like Rakita Dotley, who's Black for the South Side and the West Side, state that they understand that this is favoritism and they're tipping the scales in her favor, they did it anyway.
So hold up, you saying they stated out of their mouth that they understood that it was favoritism and still did it?
Yes, sir. This is why it does matter who you elect. So that's the first thing.
Okay.
And the second thing is when they changed the rules, the people who picked up papers to run. So I ran, the interim ran, and then Mallory Marsh ran. When me and Mallory picked up papers to run, there are two things that were not established. One, we were not aware that there would be a possibility of a runoff. Second, the election commission was not aware that there would be a possibility of a runoff. And the reason I found that out was, now to get to the question that you asked me, I had 547 votes when I won.
Okay.
On August the 4th. 47% of the vote. My opponent only had 28%. Mallory almost beat her out and had 26%. So I had almost double the amount of votes on August the 4th than the interim. And so the news called it on August the 4th. The election commission called it. And so I thought I won because everybody called my win, including the electing body that counts all the votes. So I woke up the next morning, August the 5th, and I had been bombarded, of course, with a bunch of text messages, DMs.
Congratulations and
You
stuff.
know
like
what
that.
I mean? But then I started getting inboxes about a runoff. And so
Hold on. Let me ask you this. So you said the election commission called it.
Mhm.
That's supposed to be the end all be all, unless I'm tripping when it comes to running.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how did it go? How did it go from the election commission calling the race to you getting these things about a runoff?
So I started getting inboxes about a runoff, and I was confused because we were never told this up front. The community wasn't, and so I called the election commission, and the person that manages the entire election commission and all the staff told me, Miss Mott, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. You either need to call the chairperson of the city council or the city attorney. We called your win, but the city is the one that's causing the issue.
Hold on. So you stating that when you called the election commission, they told you, look, Ms. Mott, we calling it that you won, but the city is bringing this into question.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Go ahead.
So I contacted Emily O'Donnell, who is our city attorney. She didn't return my phone call, but she sent me an email and then sent me this very vague ruling that they made when they changed the rules to allow Marvine Knoll to run. They put this very ambiguous legal language that kind of talked about the possibility of going to a runoff, but it didn't really spell that out firmly, if that makes sense. It was very vague. And they said
creating a loophole.
More or less. And because this is based on the city's interpretation of the law, they stated that I would need 50% plus one. Even so, I only got close to 47% of the vote. So that they said I needed 50% plus one, which triggered a runoff, which is me and the second highest person who got the largest number of votes. I don't believe they would have done this if Mallory won, but of course they did it because Marvine came in second place. And so
hold on, let's go back. When you won, you said you had what, 47%?
47%.
And how much did the second place person, what was the percent of their votes?
28%.
So you beat them by roughly what, 19-20%? And and not to mention it was 3 people. So when you got an election where it's 3 people, it's gonna be spread anyway. The people need to know that it's gonna be spread anyway. So it will be hard when you got 3 people for one person to get 50%. And you was on the cusp with 47%. Man, these folks tripping.
So I was bewildered, upset, angry, tired because I had been campaigning since March. Frustrated because this had clear tampering not only by our city council but by the mayor, and that leads into some of the things that transpired later. Because the city attorney does not work at the will or the pleasure of the city council. The city attorney works at the will and the pleasure of the mayor. So from the very beginning, it was the city who understood that they knew that the people had chosen me. I would take office, and all of this stuff that has been going on rolling for all of our lives and before that too. The corruption, the theft of taxpayer dollars, the ethics violations, all the stuff that's going on, it's going to stop. And if not, it's going to be exposed. So, I wasn't very shocked that would happen, but I was very frustrated because I knew that because there was not an established runoff from the beginning that was set as an expectation to the community, it was going to be very hard to get the word out, to go back to these doors in a very short period of time. Because folks need to understand, my opponent can't say this. I knocked on just the first time around 1,700 plus doors. 92% of those I knocked on my own. Okay, that's a lot of doors. That's a lot of walking. That's a lot of sweat. And I did that in the summertime. Okay, so I had put in a tremendous amount of hard work to already get to people, and it took months to do that. So imagine you got to get to that same amount of people, because even if you get a list from the election commission, it'll tell you who voted, but it won't tell you who voted for you. So you don't know in that spread of, we had about 1,200 people that voted, in that spread, which ones voted for you. So you got to try to hit all those doors again in weeks that took you months to be able to do.
So let me ask you this. Who, if you could give the person's name or the position, who was the person or the position, what position was able to say, we want to question this election?
The city council chairman and like I said, the city attorney. Either one of those. And I found out after a follow-up conversation to the election commission that there had been a little bit of engagement with Darren Ledford, who is the city council chair person. So this was a very clear obstruction from the executive and the legislative branch to usurp the will of the people, or to basically drown out the voice of the people. And it was so messy that when we had the NAACP and the Unity Group following up after this with the election commission, they didn't know when we were going to have a special election. They didn't know if there was going to be early voting, because none of the rules had been established up front. So it
seem like they making it up as they were going?
Of course.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't tripping.
Of course. It took a week and a half just to figure out if we were going to have early voting and what locations that would be at. That wasn't something that they just came up with. Shout out to Eric Atkins, who actually just did a write-up about some of the things that has happened in the last several weeks to interfere with the District 8 race from our city council and our mayor. But he was the one who was really pressing the election commission with the NAACP to get an understanding of how would people even be able to come out and vote again, because there were no rules.
So take the people into your thinking, like, okay, you ran a great campaign, you won, then you like, hold up, y'all talking about we gotta do a runoff? I won. What we doing?
Well, when I spoke about it at city council, I was chastised by our corrupt city council members who stated that they had to go to a runoff to win their seats. But anytime a runoff has happened, the public is aware up front. It's not something that is done on the back end, right? So people are already have an understanding that because it's so many people running, we're going to have to go to a runoff. They know that they got to come back. They're conditioned along the way to come back out and prioritize voting again. Because this was done after the fact, there's not enough time for you to not only knock on doors, but how do you get out the messaging in such a short period of time? How do you make sure people have things that are important like rides to the polls, various different things that we had set up for the August 4th election. We had no time to prepare for in this runoff because it wasn't expected.
And then let me state this. If it was going to be a runoff, they wouldn't have never called it in the first place.
Exactly. The election commission would have already had the rules of engagement. They would have known exactly how much it was going to cost. They would have had a timeline that would have been explained to all three of the people who picked up papers. That even if Mallory was the second place person, she would have known that nobody had any idea but the interim who was already on the council. So they withheld that information from the public and from the two other people who picked up papers. They held that information in their back pocket.
So let me ask you this. How did they determine who would be the interim?
So we had a interview process where you had to submit a resume and go before city council and explain why you would want to be the interim. So there were several of us who came and put our hats in the ring for that process. And even if you go back, that video is in an agenda session meeting. I believe that was in March, either late February or March. And you can see it. And you will see that they asked everybody else 2 questions. For me, I think I got asked about 10.
Hold on. So everybody who went up for the interim spot, besides yourself, was asked 2 questions, and they asked you 10?
They asked me about 10 questions in total.
Y'all know. Yeah, I mean, y'all know what that. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Y'all know what that was about. Come on, man. Like this is my thing. Whether you like a person or not, keep it fair across the board. If you gonna ask Ms. Mott 10 questions, ask everybody 10. I mean,
it would have been a sad situation because we had people who answered one of the 2 questions with "I don't know," which this is the whole point of the establishment picking people to put into positions of power. They don't want anybody informed. They don't want anybody who's going to ask questions. They don't want anybody who's going to push back. They don't want anybody that's going to take a stand. We have to understand, and I'm going to say it on the Deprogram Show, that there is an immense amount of money on the front end and the back end in Black poverty and pain. There's too much money in keeping the Black community and other communities oppressed and in poverty to where they would ever want to see a change. They don't want to see a change. It's too much profiteering going on. I covered this on my radio show, Roland. 1/3 of our population in every age bracket is in poverty, from the nursery all the way to people who are in college getting master's degrees. 1/3 in every age bracket. That's very clear. Me and you are on this live stream. If we added 2 more people on this live stream, one of us would likely be in poverty. 1 in 4 Chattanooga's is in poverty.
That's crazy.
You see what I'm saying? So there's too much money when we think about the jail system, juvenile system, judicial system. When we think about these nonprofits that claim that they're there to solve problems in our community that they haven't solved in 50 years, there's too much money in the failure of our community. So they wanted to pick somebody from the very beginning who was going to be very ignorant and uninformed, because that person is not going to be able to develop any strategy. They're not going to ask any real questions. They're not going to be informed. They're not going to inform anybody else. That's the Chattanooga way. So
after they asked y'all those questions, how long did it take for them to choose the person they was going to pick to do the interim?
The decision was already pretty much made before it was all said and done, because one of the questions I got was, and this was from Councilwoman Jenny Hill from District 2, was, Marie, you're a community activist and you're brilliant and blah, 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 blah. But how are you going to become a bureaucrat? And of course, I was like, I was instantly kind of upset and like, do you understand what a bureaucrat means? Like, that's someone who cares about procedural correctness over meeting people's needs. I don't want to be a bureaucrat. I'm not looking to fit in with your group, your clique, or the rest of the 8 of you, because that's not why I'm looking to get hired for this position. I'm here to do what's in the best interest of over 20,000 constituents in my district and make sure that I get monetary and fiscal resources for the people in the community. I'm not here to be buddy with you. So I mean, the fact that people understand I'm not looking to assimilate into the current culture that's going on in City Hall. It's ineffective and it's not helping the community. I'm looking to be something extremely different. And that might be controversial to some, but necessary to the people in my community who need change. So they already had made the decision, and some of them came up to me and essentially said that before they announced it in the evening meeting. I didn't even get so much as one vote from a council person to even be in the running after I got asked more questions than anybody else.
So hold on. I want to say, so it's 8. How many? So besides District 8, there's what, 7 or 8 seats?
So it's 9 in total. 9.
So it's 8 other districts, and out of those other 8 districts, and you were asked 10 questions, and the other ones was asked 2. Nobody on the council gave you a vote. Not
black
one.
or white. Black or white. And half of the people who applied had never even come to a city council meeting before in their life. And I've been going to the city council for 6 years.
Interesting.
So this has been a very dirty process from the beginning, but I've taken it all in stride. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I must say you had, okay, man, this is crazy. So with that being said, the city council picked the interim. Hold on. I'm gonna ask you, am I tripping with my analogy? So
go ahead.
Now, one of the persons vacate the seat. It's an interim process. And okay, I'm gonna play like I'm on the council. We're gonna pick somebody we want to work with. We're not gonna pick nobody who has the best interest of the community, but we're gonna pick. We don't want to work with her. We don't want to work with him. I will take them. That's what I gather from it. Maybe I'm tripping, but if
that's
I
exactly
am,
what they stated. And this has come out in like the last several weeks leading up to the runoff. We had Councilman Smith who put out a piece that he didn't want to see me elected. Now, he doesn't live in my district. He's a councilman in another district. This is a majority-minority district, meaning that the majority of people who come out to vote are Black. All right? The largest population in our district are Black people. How does a white council person who doesn't live in our district have the right to say for a majority-minority district who they think is best? Put out an entire piece that he would not work with me and that I don't deserve to be served in this city.
So as a citizen, because you weren't even an elected official, but you was going up for it, or you actually won, so you actually were an elected official. So this man who is, and I read the article.
Be my daddy.
Yeah, I read the article. So this public official stating that he don't even want to work with a citizen of Chattanooga. That's basically what he's saying. And nobody has, I ain't gonna say nobody because people did put up an issue with it. No other city official that I know of spoke on it and were like, hold on, man, you tripping. Because whether you like it or not, she is a citizen in Chattanooga. And we all supposed to be, they say one Chattanooga, ain't that what they say? I'm tripping. Am I tripping? I heard we
You're not tripping. It's just all talk. It's all
we
talk.
supposed to be working together. Because it's supposed to be one Chattanooga.
Bro,
hey man,
you already know. you just said it though. They want to work with the people who will work with them. And the subtle language for that is we want to work with people who are going to go along to get along.
Yeah.
There is no uniqueness. There is no asking questions. There is no real challenging. There's none of that. You know, if that was the case, tell me the last piece of legislation, because that's exactly what the city council is. It's a legislative body. They write rules and ordinances and laws. What's the last law or legislation that they put out that benefited anybody?
I can't tell you. I mean,
Did they decriminalize marijuana? Nashville did that in 2016.
they don't want to. I say that, and people can get mad.
I listen.
I'm gonna tell you,
the city is a corporation. So can I just give a little bit of business
Go ahead.
sense?
Go ahead.
A city or a municipality is a corporation, meaning that they are a business. They're in the business of making money. So I want people to understand when you do things like decriminalize marijuana, which helps you set up more businesses who then can pay you revenue and taxes and various different things, that alleviates anytime we need public services coming from us raising your taxes because we don't have any other way of raising revenue. That's exactly why Nashville is miles ahead of us, because they understand that when we create laws that are in the best interest of our community and lower barriers, that creates a revenue stream for the city. So all those hemp businesses and weed businesses and people who want to make things from edibles to do research and development and various different things, all of that's taxable. Which means that if I want to increase the money that goes into public education, into infrastructure, I have a way to create more revenue that doesn't have to come with us raising your taxes. So I don't care what people don't like. A corporation exists to make revenue. So our city needs to find more creative ways to, again, this is not what our public officials are talking about. It exists to make more revenue. And that shouldn't come with the burden of, hey, every time we want to do something new or pour more money into a program or whatever, that has to come on the back end with us raising your taxes. So we need to get over our personal feelings, because at the end of the day, I would rather have a business pay those taxes that come in the form of revenue than it coming out of my pocket. Will you agree?
True. So after the run, well, leading into the runoff, after you knew you won,
mm-hmm.
What was your thought? Was you thinking, man, y'all tripping, or what was your thoughts?
I didn't have any time to sit in my feelings, and my mother wouldn't let me. I don't come from, shout out to my mom and my parents, I don't come from a lazy family. My father is ex-military. I come from a very structured background, discipline. And when you take a loss and you take a hit, you got two options. Get up or get up.
Ain't no laying down.
Ain't no laying down. And what my mama told me was, baby, we've come too far. You've come too far. You've done too much work to stop here, because that's exactly what they want. And it doesn't even matter what the outcome is going to be. Don't let them see you internalize the feeling that you're defeated. Maya Angelou said, we might encounter many defeats, but we must not be defeated. You know what I mean? And so I didn't have time to wallow. You know, I took a weekend. I went right back to work. You know, almost 6 more weeks after months of grueling canvassing during the summer, 100+ days sweating. And you better believe that a 70+ year old was not out knocking doors in 100+ degree weather. I was exhausted. I was empty, depleted, but I didn't have that. To me, that was like an athlete being in overtime. You might not win, but you still got to put up some points on the scoreboard. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So I got right back to work, phone banking, knocking on doors, got new pamphlets. We got more signs, and just kept putting in the work. And I believe once these people saw that I couldn't be deterred from that, was when all of the negativity started coming into the campaign cycle towards the end.
So let me ask you this,
Mm-hmm.
because I live on in the Tyner area, and the way I go to work, I have to go through the Wilcox Tunnel. I just travel down Charlottesville Road, and I seen your sign,
Mm-hmm.
and I think you know where I'm alluding to, but I'm gonna go direct to it. Seen your sign, and at first, pretty sign, clean or whatever. And one time I came through there, and I seen all types of dirt on your sign, and it raised the question to me, because nobody else sign was filthy. Now, this is my thing. If it was rain, or if it would have been on all the signs, because they was kind of in there together. But I seen nobody else sign that was basically desecrated. I mean, there ain't no other way around it. It might look like natural, but it couldn't have been if the other two signs were completely clean.
It wasn't, because when somebody told me that it was mud all over the sign, I went to see for myself, and I was appalled because it was so much mud. But when I pulled up to go look up close, there were clear tire marks where you could tell somebody backed in and spun their tires so it would get mud all over my sign. But those were like the very subtle because people had been stealing my signs from the beginning. The thing that I kept focusing on, no matter what attacks happened, I wasn't focusing on that. My focus was getting to people, talking to people, hearing what people want to see change in their community, and staying focused on the mission at hand. It's like the more that I didn't feed into the negativity was the more that the tactics became dirtier. That it went from just signs to council persons writing opinion pieces, and then things especially escalated when we were invited by WDEF, which is News Channel 12, to do a debate. And my opponent, for reasons unknown and none that to me matter, refused to do a debate to answer any questions to the people.
So they expect the people to believe. This is my logical thinking. They expect the people to believe that not only did this person lose the first time, but once a public platform issued an invite for a debate, the person refused, and they expect the public to believe that the public showed up and voted more times for this person than they did the last time, and they weren't even willing to answer questions to the public.
Well, I think what happened in like the last 72 hours scared some people. Well, I would say probably the week before. The unfortunate thing about our city, Roland, is that we can't see the real, even if it's in our face. Malcolm X is quoted as saying the media is the most powerful entity on the planet. It can have the guilty looking innocent and the innocent looking guilty. And that is because they control the minds of the masses. Now, only after I made a public statement that it's cowardice, and that's exactly what it is, cowardice. You're old enough to be my grandmother. You've been on this earth 7 decades almost. And you're telling me, as a former neighborhood association president for the Orchard Knob area, you cannot explain on television what your intentions are for over 20,000 people. And the moment that I say that you don't really have a plan is when all of this stuff starts coming out. Now, the first was the Jewish community being used as a tool willfully, about me stating that they own slaves.
Which they did.
They did. The fact that there are some Black people, because we don't know our own history, and we certainly don't hold people accountable for it, who said that I was being anti-Semitic, which is impossible because the original Jews are mine and your color. How can I
it comes from the line of Shemitic.
Okay. How can I hate my own people? What I despise is the fact that and that discussion happened. That was a video from 2020 when everybody was attacking Nick Cannon. And I did an entire live stream about that. Number one, that Black men very rarely, right, wrong, or indifferent, have the space to express their opinions, their pain, what they think, without being accused of anything anyways. I appreciated the fact, even if people didn't like what he had to say, that he had the platform to be able to even have the discussion. And at the end of the day, if his belief doesn't align with yours, that doesn't make him a bad person. You know, I don't see how, you know, and I made this point that helped it all make sense for the people who want it to make sense. I am a byproduct of a Jewish woman who my grandmother cleaned houses for. She kept having miscarriages when my mother was born, or before my mother was born. She kept having miscarriages. This was in Elizabeth, New Jersey. She worked in a Jewish home. The lady she worked for was a doctor and gave her surgery to where she would end up having 2 children. So most people don't understand that there is even a personal connection between me and a Jewish family of why I'm here. But the bottom line is that even though she did a personal favor for my grandmother to allow her to have children, she never publicly advocated for the system that would allow her to be anything more than a servant in her home. Does that make sense? And what people often do to Black people is, oh, you're my friend. Or, you know, I married a Black person. It's a personal connection, but your community is not doing anything to not only deal with the past, but doing anything to uplift what is going to change the lives for Black people in the present. And so that all came out, and then the Jewish community publicly condemned me. That happened. Then Ken Smith. And then after that was right before the night before the election is when the video leaked of me cussing out our corrupt police officers in the city.
So who put the video out?
Of the police?
Yeah, the police put that video out of you?
The chief of I'll say this publicly, the chief of police serves at the will of the mayor. So nothing like that would have come out without the chief nodding and saying yes, but that wouldn't have happened without the push from the mayor. It took us almost 2 weeks to get the name of the 15 officers that we know are now back on duty after lying and putting people in jail, sending people to prison. It took us 2 weeks to get that information. But you're telling me that because I cussed a few officers out after them racially profiling me in my own community, that video leaked in less than 24 hours? Make it make sense, Roland.
I'm gonna ask you this question because I saw the video.
Mm-hmm.
And this might seem stupid. It might seem like a stupid question, but I don't think so. So I'm gonna ask it.
Go ahead.
It's mighty interesting watching the video. That the video was very clear when the officer stepped out the car. But when the officer was inside the vehicle, it was blurry. You couldn't see what was going on. So this is my question. People can get mad. If it's clear when they approach you, why it ain't clear when they sit back in their car? What you hiding?
Because ain't no telling what they said across the airwaves. And Roland, when I was coming down South Orchard Up, because I was in my own community, okay? In my own community, the officer was in the other lane. She literally whipped an illegal U-turn to get behind me, speed up to follow me, and pull me over. Come on, man.
And then it's like, I'm gonna rewind a little bit. I've never seen, I'm 39 years old, I'll be 40 in March. I've never, and I keep up, I might not participate all the time, but I keep up with politics. Mm-hmm. And I've never, ever seen other city council get involved in a race. I've never seen the mayor get involved in a race. And I've never seen, this is my question, and I need to find out the publication that allowed that was it a publication that published Ken Smith's letter, or was
The
it
Chattanoogan.
So my question to the Chattanoogan:
Mm-hmm.
how in the hell do you post a person who is in position? How are you posting their feelings about some incoming person who's running for office? Unless I'm gonna answer my own question. Unless you're in on it yourself, make it make sense. Because now, guess what you're doing? You're making this person guilty to the public opinion. You're forming an opinion for them on this person. And that might not even be true.
Well, none of this has anything to do with, none of this has anything to do with getting elected. I mean, can I just be real? Demetrius Coonrod is a convicted criminal who's sitting on the city council. So if we didn't like people who participate in any level of criminal behavior, why is she on there? You know, but she's on there because the people put her on there. And that process should be uninterrupted. That process shouldn't be tainted with force and coercion and intimidation, which these are all things that happen, and there are laws against that happening. Roland, you're right. This has never happened in Chattanooga history, which I guess for me that spells I'm one in a million, because these folks are so threatened by my ascension to any level of power. And really, I don't think it's just because of me. I'll be giving myself too much credit for that. I think the fact that they understood, more and more people have been changing their mind about the kind of leadership that they want in this city, that they want something different. I think that's the thing that they're afraid of. Because the moment they elect someone like me, it's going to be a domino effect. It's going to be very hard for you to elect someone who's not going to do anything for you when you elect someone who does.
So let me ask you this. Mr. Kelly, Tim Kelly, have he ever, since he spoke on you, him, Mr. Ken Smith, have they ever had a personal conversation with you to the side and was like, hey, let's talk about what we could do? Because it's supposed to be one Chattanooga. That's what they say. I mean, that's why I'm asking. So have they, either one of these, especially the mayor, Mr. Kelly, have he ever had a conversation with you and be like, okay, how can we get to the
Tim Kelly is a repeat offender. He's a racist. He pretends like he's not. But he's a racist. He is. He's a part of that.
So I gotta ask this: why you say that?
Well, originally, when we ran last year, before he won the mayor's office, he made comments about me and C. Grimey that we were rioters from the protest the year before, even though he showed up while he was running for mayor at the protest or intending to run for mayor to take pictures. Now, you are a white person who wants to poverty pimp off of Black pain so that you can have some credibility in a Black community you've never stepped in, and certainly wouldn't by yourself and without an entourage. But he made a public comment that was printed in the press that we were rioters, and we had never rioted. Like, a riot is destruction of public property, as far as like breaking into businesses, breaking windows, and there's like none of that happened here. You know, none of that happened here. And even for the whole flag issue, there is a Supreme Court precedent, Texas versus Johnson, that puts burning a flag under freedom of speech. You know, and so we had a sit down before he was elected, because I'm not one of those folks that'll just talk online. And Ken Smith got this energy too. I didn't have to say anything in the public commentary section, but I walked right up to him and told him exactly what I thought about his publication that he put into the paper, and that he really didn't have any balls for doing so. Because you see me every Tuesday, and if you got a problem with me, you can say something to me. It's funny how all these men, you walking around here with two balls and you can't say nothing to, I'm gonna say it just like it is, Roland. You know, but you can't say nothing to me from adult to adult in person. You got to talk about me and your pachydermy clubs where probably ain't a black person in sight behind closed doors, and then print about it in the paper. And the only reason it actually got printed was because the person from the Chattanooga was in the room at the meeting. It wasn't that necessarily Ken Smith sent it to there. They updated what happened because he was talking about me behind closed doors like a coward. You know, I'm not on that cowardice energy. Whatever I say online, I can say to you face to face. And I asked for a sit down with Tim Kelly, who couldn't even come by himself as a man. He had to bring Joda Tombaknua, who is formerly his chief policy officer, with him. So I sat down with him face to face, and I told him I didn't want nothing from him. I didn't need nothing from him. I was offered things before he became mayor. And that's all these folks know how to do, Roland. They can't respect you in your presence, especially when you affirm your own blackness. They can't respect you that way. You know, they're used to dealing with people who look like us that make concessions, that are willing to sell off pieces of themselves to get in position. And I'm not willing to do that. So how's the mayor going to have a sit down with me when I've already read him his rights before he got elected? There's nothing I want from you. If you want to do anything in this city, then you're going to have to come with the real, period. I'm not interested in sugarcoating. I'm not interested in none of that. You need to come with the real of what's really going to make some change for people in the city. And primarily, I haven't seen that. In essence, right now, you know, we just had a publication that said our babies not only can't read, they're not even passing standardized tests. And we're getting ready to take on $80 million of public debt to build a stadium. They know.
My thing is this with the stadium thing. Let's see. It ain't even been 20 years since they built the last stadium. Let's be honest. Because come on, man.
$80 million. $80 million.
And this is my thing for Mr. Kelly and those on the council or anybody who over the money. We got a homeless situation in this city, but you can take $80 million and give to a damn stadium. What we doing?
Doing exactly what I have said publicly, that Tim Kelly was going to be Burt 2.0, just another privileged rich white guy who's never had to live in poverty, doesn't know what it's like to struggle, he has no idea. He's had a silver foot in his mouth all his life. What does he know? He doesn't know anything. And I guess he thinks that because he's interacted with a couple of black people, that makes him an expert on our situation. And white people never like the fact when you tell them that they don't know anything about this life. Even poverty, as opposed to being white and black, is very different. That experience is very different. So, you know, Roland, these folks ain't going to sit down with me. They already know where I stand. I'm on the complete opposite of the spectrum. I'm not willing to make concessions. That hasn't worked. I'm not willing to sell out. You have nothing I want. And so that makes it hard when that's all they have to offer anybody else.
And the reason I asked that question, because my thing is, if you portraying that this is one Chattanooga and one Chattanooga is everybody coming together, because that's what I heard him say. And it's like, if it's one Chattanooga, that means everyone, whether you like them or not.
Exactly. You know, if I got elected the second time around, I will be working in the best interest of people who hate my guts. Why? It's not personal. Me serving them is not personal. I didn't get in that position to pick and choose who I'm going to help and how. They're here. That means they have the same rights as anybody else that I love overwhelmingly. And these folks claim to be Christians. The Bible says there's no reward in you loving people who already love you. The reward is in loving people who you got some tension with.
You. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So let me ask you this. What do you think transpired for them to go to the measure they went to keep you out of there?
Again, Roland, you got to understand these people, our counterparts have 20, 30, 40, 50-year plans. What is happening now was planned 30 years ago.
I agree.
So when you have people who have 20 and 30-year plans, we don't plan like that in our community. We don't have like real long-term planning and vision. Most communities really don't. So when you have people who are looking that far into the future and already have certain things set in motion, set to come down the pipeline to be able to get them towards the vision that they want, anybody who sets to threaten that is not only a threat to the present, they're a threat to the future. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
People didn't kill Dr. King because of what he did in the present. He was talking about, he was a visionary. He was talking about a world that did not yet exist. They didn't kill Malcolm because he was just preaching certain rhetoric. He was a visionary. You know, visionaries almost always are in prison or murdered in the context of human history. And that is because when you're dealing or you're up against a status quo or an establishment, that establishment has certain things set in motion that are benefiting and have been benefiting a very small few number of people for a long time. So anything that seeks to threaten or disrupt that not only disrupts the present, that disrupts the future.
So with that statement,
Mm-hmm.
how do you plan on moving forward in your future endeavors, knowing, because you stated, you know, that your presence is a threat, an imminent threat to what their plans are. So how do you ain't got to go too far into detail because it's chess, not checkers.
Absolutely.
how do you plan on, how do you plan on moving forward in the future in that?
Keep building on that. You know, the thing that has lent me the platform that I have is me showing up despite the opposition, sharing information, and educating the people. I did not go to school to be a teacher, but I am an educator. So I can take complex ideas and information and break that down for people to be able to understand. There are a lot of people who want to change. They just don't know how. They want to do something different. They don't know where to start. And so that has been my way of going forward. But my focus next is going to be the economics. I've done the public policy, been successful at that. I've done all the grueling activist freedom fighting work. But I think the thing that is going to set some things in motion is being that economic catalyst. That's really the next phase of what I want to get into is the economics. How can we stoke the economic engine of the Black community? How can we create a real class of next generation founders and entrepreneurs? That's really going to be the lane that I'm getting ready to extend in. I have some things that I've been working towards, but I just didn't have time with the election. Now that all of that is out the way, I have some things that are going to be coming to really help people step up their business and really step up involvement in strategies to be able to get to the level at which we can firmly be independent people.
So let me ask you this, because you also stated that after the election, after they robbed, I say it for you, after they robbed you of your rightful seat, I say it. They can get mad at me. It is what it is. So you stated that you noticed after that you wasn't going to be able to really work with them anyway. So being an activist, being someone who has the best interest of the community, and you wasn't going to be able to work with them, what would you suggest the community do? Because this is what I observed. The three people who ran in y'all district originally after Mr. Byrd vacated the seat, two of them, you and the young lady's name is escaping me, but two of y'all came together and was like, look, regardless of who wins, we gonna work together. And the very person who didn't come together for the betterment of the community from appearance is the one who got the seat. So what's the message to the community if they showing the community they don't give a damn about them? I mean,
well, the thing that the community has to live with is you chose. You have to live with the consequences. And I said this after losing, and it wasn't being a sore loser, but it's the reality can no longer escape us of what's really happening at the ground level. You're right, Roland. We're seeing homelessness. We're seeing, good Lord, between shootings and stabbings, we've gone from shoot-a-nooga to stab-a-nooga. The city is in peril. It's on fire. We're seeing younger people committing crimes, violent crimes in our community. The handwriting's on the wall. So sometimes it's just like in our personal life, when we make certain choices, we got to live and deal with the consequences of those choices. Until the community cannot be intimidated and scared and standing behind radical people, we will not see radical change. And I outlined this on a whiteboard yesterday. The crux of problems in our city is the people. My mother says it simply: people are a reflection of representatives are a reflection of the people. So if we elected someone who's ignorant and able to be controlled and doesn't want to answer questions, if we elected that type of person, they're a reflection subtly of the community. So until we change, nothing else will change. When we change, when we raise our expectations, then we will see change. Short of that, the community is going to have to decide what future it wants. And if it is cool with the current train track that we're on, well, we already see the outcomes of that. And all I can say is I have matured and gotten to the age in my life where I don't want to keep being on the losing end of that side with the people until they're ready. Nothing will change. So my encouragement for people is going to be, you're going to see over the next several years what happens. You see what's happening now. So, and you'll be right back to those same choices again. What type of leadership do you want for the future?
So let me ask you this on behalf of the people who, because I know some people probably feel like this, and they say, Ms. Mott, we made our decision. Originally, we chose you, and they backdoored us. We, because this the thing. The people went to the polls. They say, all right, this is what it is. We made our decision. We want Marie Mott. The election commission said Marie Mott is the winner. And then we get hit with, because let's be honest, everybody's not 20, 30 years old in their district. I guarantee you some people who made it out the first time didn't come out the second time. Because they like, damn, we tied. We made our choice. We made our choice. We ain't choose this person. We made our choice. Now y'all gonna make us do it again? Damn, it took us everything we had to get out here the first time. So what do you say to those people? And they really do have a legitimate gripe.
They do.
Because they went out there and they was like, hey, we picked. We made our choice.
So here's the thing that I would say as an encouragement for those folks. If you chose me once, keep choosing me. If you support me, keep supporting me. Keep putting my name out there in a positive light. And there will be an opportunity, because I said I'm considering running for mayor in 2024, and a lot can happen in 2 years. If the council doesn't want to change and they want to be in the mayor's pocket, well, maybe we need to change the coat to see what pocket they're in, whose pocket. So we can't be, here's the thing. You don't always win on the first or even sometimes the second time around before you get to where you're going. And if you give up because the system or your opposition made it difficult, you'll never be successful. It doesn't matter what you do. So whether we're talking about this race, we're talking about a race in the future, and until we build some, people keep saying, oh, Marie, you're resilient. What that means is I'm not willing to give up. I might have to change the lane or the strategy, I might have to change the terrain. Some things might shift as time goes along. But am I willing to just pack up and go home? Well, they cheated and made it. The first time I lost legitimately. But this time they cheated. If anything, people should be more engaged because they had to go overtime to try to stop what we had going. That's major. That's major. And that, to me, that's further ground for us to set up a comeback that is a tidal wave. And so my thing is I would just encourage the folks out there, if you team Mott, team community, team moving forward, don't lose hope to that. They wouldn't have worked so hard if they weren't threatened by all of us choosing together. That's important. And if we can multiply that, you have thousands of people that follow you. I have thousands of people that follow me. What if we put change out there of, the next time Miss Mott runs for something, all of us, I'm going to encourage everybody around me to get behind her. Because if I run for mayor, anybody can vote for me. We have more Black people in this city that could vote and put a Black person in public office with us without us even having to leave the Black community. What it would take is us getting behind one person. So that would be the thing I would encourage folks to think about. Who's that one person that we can get behind that can take it all the way?
Because I've stated this before, and I can't remember where I was at or what show I was on. I stated, and I think I was actually talking about you. I said, I might not want Marie Mott on the city council. And this is why I stated it. And I don't think I went into detail, but I'll go right here. On city council, you have to place a vote. So it's like, okay, Ms. Mott might want this, but we got these 8 other people. Now we going with this. So it's like, we actually, and I'm going to tell you what your election did show, and you said it. We got to focus on the top seat because looking at it, the top seat is what delegated. Hell no, we don't want her. This is what happened. If y'all want to get mad, y'all get mad at me because I'm going to say it. Hell no, we don't want Marie Mott on this thing. So let's do what we got to do. She won the election commission. This is my thing for the election commission. How the hell y'all let them get away with it? I got a lot of questions. Put it in the comments. Anybody from the election commission, how the hell y'all let this happen? Then, so that you mean to tell me we in a dictatorship? So basically, Tim Kelly is the president of Chattanooga. That's what we doing? I mean, am I tripping? If I'm tripping, correct me. Because that's what it looked like.
You're not tripping. That's why I said we need to set our sights a little bit higher. Sometimes things don't work out, and that's not because God is telling us no to what we're trying to do, but no to the lower level that we're trying to do it at. You see what I'm saying? I think sometimes we set our sights and our intentions a little bit too low for where we can really make some long-lasting change.
Because I'm gonna state this. All right, they got their mayor, they got their city council. Let's do it like this. We have our own damn city council.
That's right.
We could do it. It ain't just because, okay, they made their choice. Now let us, as a people, make our own choice.
Montrell Beasley needs to run for city council. They wouldn't put him on the school board. He would be excellent on city council. I would love to see him run and take the seat from Rakita Dotley.
They wouldn't do that. I'm a realist. Like, this the thing. They ain't gonna put nobody.
There are a lot of people who are upset with folks who have done what they've done. Councilwoman Coonrod claims she wants to run for state rep against Yusef Hakeem. So that means that somebody can run for District 9. Somebody can run again for District 8. So, my thing is that this showed me two things that are very important, and that is that we need to set our sights higher, and we need to start working now on who we want to get elected in these positions that are not going to go along to get along. We need to start putting money aside for them, because running for public office is not cheap, and start building a network of support behind these folks. So when they do step out and announce, they already got the ball rolling ahead of schedule. They got the money, they got the network, they got people already lined up to volunteer with them. So getting them in is easy if they're willing to do the legwork. That's how other people get power and keep it. We need to understand how to do the same and how to build a legacy, which we're terrible at doing in the Black community. So this is our opportunity. If we didn't like the outcome of what happened to me, we didn't like that Montreal didn't get elected, that we keep having elders who are just clinging to power in our city, but we complain that young people leave here all the time, then you got to get behind young people to be able to put them in position. You got to get them groomed and prepared. How do you carry yourself as an elected official? We don't go through teaching like this. Nobody tells us what that means or what that entails. So we got to have behind the scenes education and support before we get to where we're going. And there's plenty enough time to do that.
True.
That would just be my recommendation, Roland, for moving forward.
My thing is, the hell with their system, create our own. I've been saying
absolutely.
But hey, guys, if you show me you don't want me at your table, let me create my own. Cause guess what? You said it yourself. We got enough people, and we got enough blacks in this city to where we could create our own situation. And if we come together as a unit, ain't no way in hell y'all gonna go against what we want, because we got our own. All right, y'all got y'all mayor, we got our mayor. And we gonna put our money behind our mayor. And it's possible, because you got say so in where your money go.
Well, Tim Kelly would not be in the mayor's office without the Black vote. That's without a shadow of a doubt. We have over 80,000 registered voters in Chattanooga, and only 30,000 plus voted for who the mayor is. There's so much room for us to reach people in our own community and people in other communities, because Black people are not the only people tired of what's going on. There's some other people who are tired of this stuff that's going on too. But you have to plan for that. It's not something that just magically happens. And when you have a city that already is discouraged, people are already discouraged. They don't believe the system works. They don't trust people in the system. It takes time to build trust. So we got to do that work now.
And we appreciate you for coming on and stating your piece. And
thank you, Roland, for having me.
I'm really appalled, because I'm like, what we doing? Because I've always stated, I'm like, man, I don't believe in the system. I've always said that. So I'm like, when you won, I was like, now I'm finna see what it's really about. And then the next day I said, what? All right, man, y'all tripping. Cause I don't know. I'm just at a loss for words. Again, I salute you in your endeavors and everything you're doing in the community, because we need more people like you. And this is the thing. We need, get rid of the yes men and yes women. I don't care what area you in. And let's hold people accountable, because that's really all they mad at you for, holding them accountable.
Thank you, Roland, for having me. And you're absolutely correct. And I just want people to be encouraged no matter what's going on. We proved that the system does work if you work it, like anything else. So my thing is that any game that we get in that we legitimately want to play, we take over, we dominate. Sports, you name it. Anytime we get in the field, we dominate. So why can't we do that? So let's do that. Let's get into the game and dominate.
So before we get out of here, how can the people get in contact with you if they don't already know?
You can follow me on all social media platforms for TWO Marie, Marie, on all social media platforms. You can reach out to me, but I'm everywhere. I'm always over the city. So 423 Marie, that you could always get at me, and I am here. I ain't a hard woman to find.
Salute to you, and we'll stay tapped in. We appreciate you for being on the Deprogram Show, and we appreciate all that you do. Salute.
Salute.
And we go.